scrubbing surfaces to scrubbing the air we breathe. We're going to put a poll question up if everybody takes a moment to answer. And while you do that, I'll introduce our next presenter. Our next presenter has an exciting new product called BlueZone. This is a unique product. It's effective and safe air purification scrubber that removes many aerosols carrying harmful viruses, bacteria, mold, and smoke from the air, all while working quietly in the background of your business. I'd like to introduce Dennis Francis from BlueZone. But before we do that, Deb, you can share the results. No one voted for a cabin in the woods with 5 sides, so I know we've got a lot of experts in the room. And, I'll let you even, Dennis, jump off with the answer to this and what that means and roll into that and how that affects your product.
Sure, that's wonderful, really. Thank you so much, Scott. Appreciate it. My name is Dennis Francis, and I'm the VP of Sales for Evo America and now BlueZone by Middleby. I want to take you through this incredible new air scrubbing product that can really be placed in any given room. I am going to switch my screen, and then we'll talk about that. We'll get right into all those 9s on that survey that we're given there. Let's see if we can do this real quick. I'm going to start out actually with a video. And when anyone sees a video, maybe Scott, you can tell me if you see it on your screen, and then I'll absolutely know that everyone else does as well. Okay, great. All those 9s, depending upon how many 9s you have, is a classification called log. And log basically means you can have a log 2 as far as safety, which was 99%, a log 3, which would be 99.9%, or up to a log 6, which would be 99 point and then 4 9s after, meaning really almost 100% of a viral load being removed from something. So we're going to talk about those logs and what BlueZone product does. So take a listen to this first. There we go.
Viruses are spread by droplets and aerosols that come from coughing, sneezing, talking, and breathing. Larger droplets can land on surfaces up to 6 feet from the source. Hand washing and constant surface cleaning reduce the risk of contact transmission. Social distancing reduces the risk of infection due to the inhalation of droplets. However, small infectious aerosols can follow indoor air currents and can spread far from the source. This has forced restaurants to implement limited and outdoor dining. BlueZone by Middleby was created to bring diners back inside by destroying 99.995% airborne infectious air. Ensure destroys viruses, mold, and bacteria through oxidation or by damaging their RNA, thus killing the contaminants. As air exits the reaction chamber, it passes through a room temperature oxidation catalyst to remove any volatile organic compounds. Purified air is returned clean and fresh, protecting your employees and your customers. BlueZone by Middleby freestanding credenza, tower, and podium units are designed to provide the same protection for any decor and space.
Well, that didn't go as planned. All I need now is a dog barking in the background. No problem. I will take you through everything with regard to this, but hopefully you got a great feeling, at least, for what the BlueZone product is about. I'm going to stop this and go to my presentation. Okay, So what BlueZone is an air scrubber. It basically kills almost all the viruses, almost all of a virus in a particular room or bacteria in a particular room. So what I'm going to really talk about today is the transport of the aerosols, which is a COVID-like virus that can spread in a given area. And we are all tackling that in the restaurant business as cleaning surfaces, because that's one of the things that it can do and land on surfaces. Another thing is it can also be an aerosol in the room, and it builds up over a period of time, and that's actually how the transmission of viruses happen. I'm going to talk about BlueZone science versus some of the other competitors in the marketplace. I'm really going to speak about their technology more than the specific competitors. I'll leave that to you guys to decipher the differences between the actuals. We have two BlueZone categories of business. One is a viral kill business, which would be for inside of classrooms, inside of restaurants, where people are, and we have an ability to keep that area completely clean. The other part of our business for BlueZone by Middleby is the food preservation. These units, special units, actually can be placed into walk-in coolers and actually kill the mold and bacteria that progress and make food rot. That actually extends the life of any fruits or vegetables almost threefold. So where the ethylene starts to build up almost after 5 days and begins that process of rotting, so to speak, it's going to extend it to almost 25 days. And I'll give you some great case studies and third-party testing data that specifically let you know all about it. We actually have third-party data on our new 450 model. It is a log 5 testing, which is 99.999. You see the 3 5s percent effective of killing any airborne virus in a given space. And then I'm just going to take you through the website and models in a very quick way. Want to just basically recap what we're going through right now with coronavirus is an aerosol related viral spread. And that's how people are catching it, mostly indoors. That's the reason why they're closing down bars and restaurants and asking people not to congregate. Exactly. But there are ways to mitigate the virus. And one of the ways Josh was just talking about was using surface cleaners to really sanitize the surface, because droplets land on the surface and then people have contact with them. So you've got that covered. The second part of it, a way to really that viruses spread, is through direct inhalation of droplets. That means if somebody coughs or sneezes right next to you. That's why we have ordinances around the country with regard to masks and regard to social distancing, specifically in smaller places. But the one place that everyone really hasn't looked at and is so important is that aerosol virus contact, which can build up in a given space, particularly with the aerosols of less than 5 microns. Think about yourself in the morning when you go down and make a cup of coffee and you go back up to your bedroom to get dressed, and then you come back out and you can smell the coffee at a distance of 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet. Those are fragrant aerosols that are less than 5 microns that have traveled that distance. In a given dining room or in a given area, that is going to continue to build up. And after a while, without it properly being mitigated, extracted from the area and killed, you're going to have a room that really can spread the virus, any kind of virus, whether it's an influenza or whether it's a COVID related or a SARS related virus. And we're going to obviously have these with us for a long time. So BlueZone, by Middleby, is really an effective a piece of equipment that's easily installed in your business to really mitigate that element, that third part of the sanitation process. Here again, it's just, we're talking about the droplets, which is surface particles, which I was talking about before if there's direct transmission, but we're really talking about those tiny spreads of viruses. Now, what we've done on our 450 model, which is a ceiling mount model that you kind of saw in that video, it is flush mount into the ceiling and draws in all of the air and the virus, goes through a reaction chamber that's completely closed off with UV light and oxidation, rendering the RNA of that virus dead, basically benign, goes through a catalyst and comes back out as fresh air. What we've done is we've taken steps to actually have 3 trials. And in these 3 trials, an excessive amount of virus load was placed into a room. And in trial 1, after 15 minutes, if you look at that top line across, I know it's an eye chart, but top line across, after 15 minutes, we were at 96.955 of removing. So the majority of the virus in that given space was already removed. After 30 minutes, we were at a log 3. 99.9% effective. After 45 minutes, 99.99, a log 4. And after 60 minutes, we were almost 100% effective in the room. Now it's going to continue after that 60 minutes at that same level. So we consistently measured a log 5 level, almost a log 6, which basically scientifically for a lot of these lab studies is almost the best that you can get. So they took a surrogate here, a surrogate influenza like COVID, and that was what was mitigated out of the air. Much more than, let's say, an area that you would have if 100 people were in a dining room or in a classroom, and let's say 10 of those individuals were shedding virus in an aerosol way. This was 10 times that number in that given space. So I want to make sure that you guys realize that the science is actually there that kills the virus and takes it out of the room. Now, I want to let you know that the BlueZone by Middleby product uses 2 things. It uses the UV light and oxidizing that virus. And in our food preservation units, we actually use ozone. We don't use them in the viral kill units because ozone is not good around, or it's harmful around people. But there are other technologies out there, and how we stack up is really we're just more effective. At the end of the day, ionizers are going to be somewhere in that 95-96% category. They're going to try to electrically charge or bring those bacteria and viruses toward the unit and capture it, but they don't necessarily kill it. Particle filters that are used in hospitals with HEPA filters are terrific. They actually are great, but you need to have very conscious ability to remove the virus because it traps the virus on that HEPA filter. So this with BlueZone instead, you're not having to have an outside source come in with hazmat suit and etc. And instead, it's doing it itself. It's really pulling all of that virus up away from your table where your customer into the ceiling, into a closed unit, and then purifying it back out as clean air and killing that bacteria, killing the virus in there. There are other items like overhead ultraviolet light. You want to make sure that if you look at that technology, we utilize it. It's contained. That is completely contained. Because ultraviolet light actually can hurt the eyes, etc. So you don't have to worry about that with BlueZone. And then as far as UV lamps and HVAC ducts, a lot of people have talked about that. That's wonderful. It's a great opportunity. However, UV light non-continuously will not kill the virus continuously. What I mean by that is the HVAC duct is regulated by a thermostat, so it goes on and off based on the temperature of the room. So you would only be cleaning air or pulling air into that HVAC unit when it was trying to heat up or warm up a given area. Once you're at temp in the room, basically your HVAC unit turns off, and therefore it would not be pulling the air out, mitigating the air, killing the viruses, etc. And a potential viral load could build up. So we are more effective because of three specific things. We actually pull the virus up toward the ceiling, away from your guests, and then we kill the virus to a log 5 level, and we have a continuous airflow. This unit stays on for 24 hours in a given room. It's just like a fan would. It's only 3 amps, 120 volts, so it's not a big deal. As you were seeing it earlier in the video, this is a full flush mount, and the flush mount needs to be purchased at the same time as the 450 unit. That 450 unit actually is held up by the true ceiling, and then the sub ceiling is where the kit goes into. So it's flush mounted. So it's going to sit above it, and it's going to be, the air is going to be brought into that unit and then back, and then I'm trying to think of the right word, exhausted back into the room. And you can use this actually in bathrooms, or you can use it in other spaces, but just by putting it on a shelf, let's say 9 or 10 feet above the floor. So you're pulling it up, and it will help to mitigate the viruses in a given room. Now, in a situation where you can't have it above, and you have 30-foot ceilings, and you don't want to have the requirements where the unit comes down to and hang it down from between a 9 to 15-foot level, or you have an area that you just can't get one of our ceiling mount units in, we certainly can put this 450 unit in a host stand, in a lectern, in a credenza. In this case, it'll pull the virus down and away from individuals, and then clean this and purify it. And it's well hidden in that given space. So let's say when someone walks into a restaurant, that area might be a separate room to itself. You can't put a unit above. You might consider doing this. You have a casino, maybe the casino is specifically near the tables. You would want a BlueZone Cordenza unit to pull that air down because you've got too many electronic security situations up on the ceiling. One of the things I told you is it's been out. This has been tested, third-party data. The food preservation units for the BlueZone have been installed on every U.S. aircraft carrier for preservation food purposes for the last 6 to 7 years. That's been going on. It's also in Middleby's Viking Series 7 refrigerators. Again, we're talking about keeping food fresh from, let's say, a 5-day cycle to a 25-day cycle, and that's proven. The U.S. Army we just recently won an achievement award. We're in their mess halls as well. So one of the things here, I just want you to recognize again, with BlueZone specifically, it's going to take your airflow away from your guests, which is going to protect them, all that virus away from your guests. It's going to kill the virus to an extensively high log 5 level, and it's going to be continuous. It's never really going to turn off. One last thing that I do want to show you is if you go on to BlueZone by Middleby's website, and hopefully I can do this. I'll share this now. You will see, I think it's there now. You will see, oops, sorry about that. On the website, what we do is we really talk about the BlueZone science of this particular unit, everything that I've talked about, the log 5. But one of the things I want to make sure that you see is the actual product itself. This is the viral kill product. It's on the website. They use BlueZone.com. If you go into viral kill, you can go into viral kill or food preservation. Sorry that my computer's a little slow. and you'll see the product right there. Okay, so that's a unit that basically would sit above that sub-ceiling and fit into that ceiling mount. So I just want to make sure that you don't think it's a flush ceiling mount that's only this big that you just pop into the ceiling. It actually is a complete unit that fits into that ceiling mount, or would fit on a shelf in a given space, or in fact fit on these standalone units or inside these credenzas. I do want to make sure that because it's a new technology, that you all realize that first shipments on the 450 model, this model for indoor use, will be on February 1st. They will be shipping from Evo America into Alton, Oregon, and out to everyone nationwide. So thank you. Thank you, Scott. Good.
Thank you. There, I, I'll ask a couple questions. We're short on time, and I want to keep moving. But one of the questions was, is the technology similar to what the airlines are using?
No, technology of the airlines are using HEPA filters, and they will remove those filters over a period of time. They
And
don't use UV blue light and changing the oxygen level of the virus, killing the virus. They're trapping the virus.
and from what I've learned from you in that, though, that demands an extra step, which still needs some caution, which is handling those filters, because in those
Correct.
filters,
Correct. Hospitals and airlines do a great job because they have the personnel to set up to mitigate it. This is really a situation where, your average restaurant owner or somebody who's using it in a university setting can leave this, put this in, and then just leave it going, and it takes care of itself.
And what size? The question was, what size room was their sample done on? But I guess the appropriate question for you, just so everybody understands, is the unit handles what size space?
Okay, so it's the 450 unit does approximately 9,000 cubic feet. So what that means is, in a 9 to 10 foot ceiling height room, it does about 1,000 square feet. So
Okay.
if you have a 50,000 square foot cubic foot room, you would have to do that multiplication, probably have 5 units, so to speak, in that
Is the
given
system
space.
expensive to upkeep?
No, not at all. It's going to be, it uses about 3 amps a year. So it's just like plugging in a fan, probably $4 or $5 in electricity. The bulbs have to be replaced once a year. They're going to, on average, they're about $250. I can't think of really anything else that it's really going to cost.
And last question, is financing available?
Yes, so Middleby has financing available through Ascentium Capital. It's based on a 60-month term, and it's just $29 a month for the first 6 months. So
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you again.
thank
With
you.
everything going on, everything that we're tackling, and we see on the news from restaurants and business being shut down, hopefully this technology can be applied and make a difference. So thank you again.
You're so welcome.